Hello guys, Namaste. My name is Yuvraj and I'm from the Brainstorm Force team. You probably already know who I am if you've been subscribed to the channel for some time now. Now this is not a how-to video, this is not a WordPress tutorial, this is not a product update, this is a new kind of series that we are starting on the channel, and this is all about everything interesting that has happened in WordPress for the past week. We're calling it weekly WordPress updates, weekly WordPress reports, weekly WordPress news, and if you have an appropriate name, a better name that I came up with, then leave that in the comments. Now, since this is the first time we're doing this, I'm going to start covering some interesting updates about WordPress, but also about other relevant news articles that I think might be relevant to you, including some about Google search and how things are changing there. So if you have any suggestions for the things I should cover, how detailed should I cover, or if I should go into a lot more detail, or should I cover a lot more topics, then feedback is definitely welcome. Leave that in the comments, and I'm going to try to cover this in the next video, which is going to be next Monday. So this is going to be kind of a weekly series. So subscribe to the channel if you want to save some time and learn about a lot of things that happen in the WordPress world in just 1 week, in just a few minutes of your time. So let's get started with some interesting updates, because a lot of things have happened. And since this is the first time I'm doing this video, what I've done is just included the news that has happened for, I'd say, the past couple of weeks instead of just 1 week. So talking about the first interesting piece of news for this week is that WordCamp USA is now online, or I'd say scheduled to go live, or scheduled to be conducted on the October 1st, 2021. That means later this year. And it's still an online event, and there were some people who were requesting this to be an online event, or there were some discussions going around it. But with what's happening around the world, we have not recovered completely from the virus. So the team has decided that, okay, this will still be an online event. So depending on who you are, if you're a developer, you are interested in WordPress or the ecosystem, you might want to just look at the website. I'll leave links down in the description for all the stories, including this one, so you can check it out. So that's some good news that WordCamp USA is now online. That's the first news of the day. And let's go to the second news, which is about the Gutenberg plugin for WordPress. And this is one of my favorite news of the day. So Gutenberg 11.1 was released, I think, couple of weeks back. The actual date is July the 22nd. As I said, I'm going to cover some news that has happened a couple of weeks ago, just to catch up on all the old news. So the Gutenberg plugin has some interesting updates, as I mentioned. If you watched a video we done on WordPress 5.8, I did mention the list view in WordPress 5.8. That means the section by section, or the view that you now had to check out all the elements that you've added to the page. Now with the Gutenberg 11.1 editor, or 11.1 update version, now you have bunch of other options, including drag and drop directly from the list view. And this is one of the most interesting features for me, because it was, I would say, I'll be honest, it wasn't the most pleasant experience for me to use the Gutenberg or the blog editor if I had to move things around. And this new update with the list view, it just makes it so much easier to make any kind of changes. Now there are some other interesting changes to the plugin as well. We also have some interesting border support. We have stacking on now mobile phones, so that you can disable that. And what do I mean by that? If you have a column block, usually they would show up side by side, but you have now the option of enabling stacking columns on mobile phones. You can disable that as well. So that's an interesting new feature, and I'd say a very welcome feature in the Gutenberg or the blog editor. And there are some other interesting changes as well. You have the post term and tag cloud features, you have navigation subcolor menus, and some interesting updates. Definitely the highlight of this update was the drag and drop feature in the list view for me. Make sure you tell me what you like about the Gutenberg or the blog editor in the comments. So that's the second news of the day. The third news of the day is about WordPress.org. Again, we made a community post about this already, but we didn't cover it in a video. In WordPress 5.8 video, if you haven't checked it, I have linked that in the description as well. I did mention that the pattern directory is a new thing that WordPress is introducing. Pattern directory was a conjunction, or say completely the triangle with the theme directory, the plugin directory, and the pattern directory. And you can copy and paste any kind of patterns from the pattern directory directly on your website. I'll show a clip that I demonstrated in the video as well, right here. And on 21st of July last month, the pattern directory actually went live. And as I mentioned, I did make a community post about it, but I thought I'll just make sure to let you guys know who haven't watched the video and who haven't watched the community post. So that pattern directory is now live. I'll leave a link down in the description to the pattern directory as well. What that means is now you have access to thousands of patterns, at least a few hundred for now. But eventually they'll reach the thousands, and you can copy paste or copy any of the patterns freely. Just copy and just paste it on your website seamlessly and have beautiful looking designs on your website. So that's the interesting news for the day. Talking about the next interesting news for the day is about WordPress, or WooCommerce 5.5.2. So if you didn't already know, WooCommerce just made a performance, or I say security update a couple of weeks ago. And after that, there were some performance issues being reported. So WooCommerce has actually updated, or 5.5.2 version is the version they've just released, which fixes those performance issues. So if you are using WooCommerce to build an online website, then I suggest you update to the latest versions to see improvements. And also, if you haven't updated for the security patch, then also update that as well. So that's all the interesting WordPress news. Let's also talk about some of the SEO interesting news. And as I mentioned, feedback is welcome for this series. So I'm going to try and cover the most interesting news of the day, or most interesting news that I think will be relevant to you. So the first update I would want to tell you is about the Google link spam update. This is a new Google update that is rolling out. It's not a core update. It's not a update that will affect rankings, or I say shuffle rankings, but affect websites with a lot of link spam. So that has started rolling out on the 26th of July. Now there are a lot of details on what's considered link spam, what's not considered link spam. So instead of trying to explain everything in this video, I'll just leave a link down in the description to some interesting stories that you should read and get updated about it. So following up with the last story, which I mentioned was the Google spam update. A lot of people was asking these questions that if you have an affiliate website, or you have a website which also uses affiliate links to generate revenue, should you change all the nofollow links to sponsored links? So Google, or I'd say there was no official answer to this question until 29th of July, when John Mueller, who's one of the lead guys on the search, Google search, actually mentioned, I'll just read out what his comment and also show some screenshots on screen. I can't speak for all possible futures, but I don't see that happening. There's no need to rebuild your sites to shift from nofollow to sponsored. This is the important part. There is no need to rebuild your sites to shift from nofollow to sponsored, but using the better fitting variant on new sites would be nice. That means if you already have a big website which uses nofollow, there's no need to change from nofollow to sponsored. But if you can on new pages, new websites, then that's definitely welcome. But it won't make a huge difference according to John Mueller. So that's one clarification for you guys. So a little bit of a sneak peek for you guys as well. Next video on this channel is going to be about redirects as well. That will be presented by me. So watch out for that, and also subscribe to our channel. So redirects, what is the question, or what is the update about? The big question that happens a lot of time is, how long should you keep your redirects alive? For example, you move domain names and now you've directed all your traffic from the previous domain to the new domain, but how long should you keep that alive? Because domains are expensive. At least not expensive, then it is some cost that is adding to your pocket. So Google has officially answered this, and what they've said is that you should keep your domain names, or I say redirects, alive for at least 1 year. For example, if you have a domain name that's expiring in 3 months and you decide to move, then just don't let that domain expire. Keep it alive and keep your redirects alive at least for 1 year, so that all the link juice from your old domain can pass on to your new domain. So this is an important update and an important clarification from Google. I hope you take notice, and next time you have to redirect a lot of links, you also keep that in mind and keep them alive for at least 1 year. So coming on to the next update is about AMP. Now, if you've been subscribed to the channel, we already did a video about AMP. We talked about a lot there, what's AMP, how to install it, how to set it up for your site. So the interesting change that has happened in AMP is that 2 important changes Google has made in search results. First of all, if you watched that old video, I'll just leave or show a small clip from that. Using AMP, you were qualified to appear in the top stories or the top stories carousel in the search results. And now 2 important changes that have happened for that is, first of all, you won't see the lightning bolt icon for AMP, even if you're using AMP in the top stories carousel. So that's if your website is using AMP and you've been missing that, where is it disappeared? That's one thing you should be aware of. That's now officially not part of the top stories carousel. And second important update, which I think is the bigger update, is that you don't need to use AMP to appear in the top stories. So in the previous video, which I did about AMP, I actually did mention that if you want to appear in the top stories, you want to attract some more traffic, you should be using AMP, but that's now not true anymore. So even if you're not using AMP, you are automatically qualified to appear in the top stories. Now, doesn't mean you will appear in the top stories, but at least you have, or you are qualified to appear in the top stories. So let's go on to the next story, which is, I think, a really big story for me, and it's very interesting to me as well. One of the big questions that all SEOs, or even everybody around the world who is trying to get traffic from SEO has is, how does Google rank pages, right? What's the algorithm? What's the secret behind the algorithm? And sometimes you see a page in search and you see like, why is this page ranking? And that's the question Google aims to answer, which is surprising to me as well. That's the kind of question Google is trying to answer in these search results. So if you're on a mobile phone, and this might not be available for all kinds of results. So if you're on a phone and if you see a particular type of result, you will usually see a 3-dotted menu with each result. So if you click that 3-dotted menu, you will see some extra information about why Google is ranking that particular page. And that can be about, okay, what the website is about, why are they appearing in this particular query. So this is an interesting new update, and I'd say it's still a little bit, I'd say, premature to discuss this unless we see interesting data. And it'll be fun to see what kind of data Google actually shares about each individual websites. Definitely, I'd say it will be somewhat useful, even if it's not completely like blowing out of the water and sharing everything. I'm pretty sure Google will not share everything about their algorithm, but this will be interesting to see just to understand how Google operates or how Google decides to rank specific kinds of pages in the search results. So watch out for that, and I'll definitely add some clips here so you can understand how the feature works, and I hope I already added that so you can see that. And talking about the last story for today, which is also about Google, and it's about actually the review snippet schema. So not schema, but I've done a lot of videos about schema already. And if you suppose have a product review website, you have your reviews on a website, or your brand or product, anything is about the review snippet which has star ratings. So there was a bug in Google which caused the star ratings to actually disappear. So if you have a brand or website, if you have a website which the star ratings actually disappeared for some reason, this might be the cause of that. And that bug which happened or which caused the star ratings to be completely say missing or caused the star ratings to disappear is now fixed. So your star ratings or your rich results with star ratings should be coming back anytime soon. So I'd say go and check your Search Console reports. Maybe you'll have information there on if your star ratings are now back to normal. So that's all the interesting updates for the week. I think I covered around 10 to 12 different stories, and definitely this is a new series we're starting. So leave any feedback that you have in the comments. What would you like to see? Is this useful? Is it trash? Be honest, it's completely fine. And if you find value in this, definitely like this video. Leave a comment about do you like it, do you don't like it. Every kind of feedback is definitely welcome. And make sure you're subscribed to our channel if you're already not. And also hit that bell icon so that you can get notified about these kind of videos, so that you can save your time and just not scout the web for different kinds of videos about WordPress, or just be updated about all that's happening in the WordPress ecosystem. You were listening to Yuvraj, watching Yuvraj on this channel, Brainstorm Force. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care, stay safe.